Hi, Carol. Welcome back.
Thanks. I've been trying to like build up the courage to talk to you about what I need to talk to you about because I don't want to talk about it because I feel like in the past I've like mentioned it to people and they like think it's really weird or they just like get like the wrong idea about it. Like they don't like understand what I'm talking about when I say it. Um
Oh,
And I wanted to bring it up last time and then I didn't, and I've just been thinking like I need to bring it up. Um, but I've just like for a really long time like had like a crush or like romantic feelings, but it's not always romantic. Like sometimes it's just like a friendship, like but like on a celebrity that like I don't know, but
okay.
just people just think it's so weird and I don't like I haven't had a crush on like somebody like in real life. Like, I've never dated anyone or anything like that. Like, I just have like these like feelings that I can't quite explain, like for this person that I don't
Mm,
know in real life, but like I feel like I know him.
mm,
So I'm like
mhm.
struggling with like people just thinking it's weird or like judging me. And so I've just like stopped talking about it with people. And I talked to some people like online about it and they like have similar feelings towards this person. Like they just like get it and understand me and that like makes me feel like less of a freak. But I
Mm.
think ultimately like I just don't know how to like I just like hate this part of myself and like I don't know what like where to go from here. And I'm rambling about it now. But like that's
You're
where I'm
not
at.
rambling. I can see that it's important for you, that you're having some feelings about it that you're trying to work through
Yeah.
with what sounds like parasocial relationship,
Mm.
or maybe more than one. Maybe it's been throughout, over time. That's kind of what it sounds like is being described to me at this moment. I'm curious what some of the maybe the embarrassment is around that when parasocial, like having a parasocial relationship is actually quite common.
Well, when I didn't know that that was quite common.
Oh,
So,
how does it feel to know that it's common to have a sort of feel connected to people we don't really know?
I think that's like a like a relief. Like I don't know, it just feels like you have like more credibility than like my friends on the internet. Like
Mm.
like if you say it's like normal or like a thing, then it is like because I think I just like the only people who I know who agree with me are friends that I've met online that I've like sought out because I've looked it up. Like other people who are in
I
this
see.
fandom and like want to have a romantic
Mm-hmm.
relationship or have romantic feelings for this person, like that I've only ever found somebody else that feels that way when I'm like looking for it. So it's not like common
Mm.
and it's just like, so I was like, well, maybe I only am finding it because I'm like looking for it so obsessively. But
I see.
I think also there's like a lot of like, I don't like talking about it or like there's embarrassment because like the person who I like doesn't have like a great reputation. So people, when they like know that I like him so much, like think that I approve of things he's done or things that people say he's done,
Mm.
but I don't approve of them. And I don't think he did those things. And if I did think he did those things, I wouldn't like him the way that I do like him. So I think that's like what is like hard for me because like everyone always just like comes back immediately like with, well, he's like a pedophile, right? And it's like, well, no, I don't think that. Like if I thought that, I wouldn't like him. But then I feel like people think that about me or think I either approve of it or like am that way myself and I'm not.
Right.
So
Right.
it's just like becoming like this really stressful topic to like bring up in any sort of situation. But then also I'm like,
Wow.
I have close friends that I want to know them to know this about me because it feels like they don't know me until they know this.
Mhm.
Yeah.
But you haven't brought it up because of that underlying kind of embarrassment around the situation in general.
Yes, I brought it up to a couple of people, like really close friends. It's like feels like every time I have a friendship close enough, and when they start asking me about relationships, because I've never been in a relationship, they ask like what kind of person I want to be with and things like that. And then that's what I'm like, okay, we're like close enough. I can do this. I can broach this subject.
Yeah.
And then I do. And it like changes things and it like they're weirded out by it and it like shifts what we're talking about. I don't know.
Mm. Yeah. Like they can't receive your emotions in that moment. They can't receive what you're thinking or feeling in that moment.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. And then I just like feel like a
Mhm.
burden. So then I'm just like, okay, fine. Like I won't talk about it. Like, but then it's weird because then it's like, okay, great. You can never know me. Like it feels so like connected to like who I am that like if they're not willing to hear that part of it out, then they're not like willing to like, I don't know. Then I just feel like I'm like faking it, like pretending kind of.
Mhm. Mhm. It's a part of you. And so it sounds like it's important for you to be seen as a whole person in your friend group, probably because you do that with your friends. You probably see them as whole people.
Yeah.
And so to not be able to not feel safe to talk about these things would feel like they can't see you.
Yeah. No, I think that's exactly it. Yeah, I do think that's right.
Mhm.
And I just don't know how to
Mhm.
like get past that because I can't like force people
Mhm.
to like, I can't be like, you have to accept this part of me.
Right. Right. I wonder what we could do to think about it. Like instead of thinking about, I can't make them accept this part of me, what can we control
Mhm.
about our own feelings about it and how maybe we present it?
Yeah, I hadn't thought about that. Yeah, because I do like kind of always talk about like, I always broach it by like calling it this like weird thing about me.
Mm.
And I hadn't thought about that until now of like just,
Mm.
yeah, I hadn't thought about how like I present it to them might also like inform how they think about it too.
Mm.
Yeah, I don't know.
Something to think about, right? And I wonder too if it is something that, I mean, heard you at the beginning say that you feel like it's a weird thing about you, right?
Mhm.
But I wonder if part of that was because there was maybe a lack of knowing it's also a common thing. And I wonder if knowing that helps alleviate a little bit of the weird factor in it.
Yeah. Yeah, it's also this thing though of like, I don't know if like everyone feels this way or if it's just me, like this like intense love that it's like, well, other
Mm.
people can't feel it like I feel it. Like this can't be what everyone feels. Like it feels too big, like or too like important or too special. Like
Mhm.
it's a weird, like ironic thing that like I want to feel normal, like I want to feel like it's normal. And then I'm also like, well, I don't want everyone to like love him like I love him. Like I do feel like I like love him the most. Or like other people like don't, there's like a specialness in other people not getting it that
Mm.
almost like by like there's like real like comfort in knowing that it's not just me. And then there's also like this like fear of like, well, if it's not just me, then like what like we're not special. Like me and him aren't special.
Because other people can have the same relationship.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And then that
Mhm.
makes me feel weird that I have that territorial feeling of him when I'm like,
Mhm.
he's not mine. like, but he feels like he's mine.
Right. Hmm. It's interesting you use the word territorial, right? I'm curious what's underneath this, that feeling of like, he's mine. And I know other people like him the same way that I do, but he's mine.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know, like, what's underneath it other than, like, the word that's, like, coming to my mind is, like, just, like, claiming him. Like, if my love for him isn't the and it's stupid because I can never be with him anyway. Like, 1, because he's a celebrity, 2, because he's not living. So it's, like, stupid, right? Like, it's, like, it's not even, like, a possibility that I could be with him. It just feels important to me that, like, he would know when you,
Mhm.
like, say it out loud, it, like, starts breaking down, right? But, like, this, like, that he knows that, like, I love him. And if it's, like, not me loving him the most, then, like, I don't know, like, would that hurt him? Like, I don't know.
Mhm.
It's like this, like, unspoken competition between me and everyone else.
Right. I wonder what, if you have awareness around what he fulfills for you.
Mm, I hadn't thought about that. I think I just, like, feel good when I think I always, like, go to him when I'm, like, sad or stressed or low, whatever, like, he is, like, my it feels like he's, like, my antidepressant, like, it's like he's my, like, thing that I go to just, like, I don't know, he's so, like, carefree and so, like, he just wants to have fun and is lighthearted, like, he's all these things that I'm not, and, yeah, I think it's just, like, reprieve when I'm with him or, like, relief when I'm with him, like, fun, not with him, but, like, you know what I mean?
In your mind,
Yeah,
right? Mhm.
yeah,
And maybe what you imagine that would be like if it was a relationship that you were
mhm,
actively engaged in. It
yeah,
sounds like he represents for you this safe space where you get to show up and be you
mhm,
without any kind of fear of being rejected, maybe, or being burned away, but
mm,
just accepted.
yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, I hadn't yeah, I like that you use the word safe because I think that's what it feels like, I think it feels like safety or just, like, how people talk about, like, being with a best friend or, like, in a committed relationship, like, even, like, I think people, like, talk about, like, marriage all the time of, like, "Oh, it's safe," like, because you're committed to each other for forever, like, I think that's what he, like, evokes in me,
Mhm.
is just, like, this, like, I'm devoted to him forever, like, and because, like, he is a celebrity that, like, his legacy lives on, it's, like, great, he even though he's dead, like, he's still like, I'm connected to him for forever. I get to be, like, I don't have to give him up.
Yeah.
So I don't yeah, it is like this, like, permanence that makes me feel safe.
Yeah. And I wonder if we can have that, right? And still know that like it's okay for others to have it too, because it's not going to change. It's not going to take
Mhm.
away what we have because it's ours.
Yeah.
Because otherwise, I imagine part of that feeling of threat of like wanting it to be mine is the sense that it might get pulled away.
Mhm.
But we know that that can't happen because it's ours. We've already claimed it.
Yeah. Yeah, I hadn't thought about that before. Yeah, I like that way of
Mhm.
thinking about it.
Well, big stuff. And I do want to, thank you for bringing it to me. I know it was hard at the
Yeah.
start, right?
Yeah.
I do, I do appreciate that you brought it here. That's a big move.
Mhm. Yeah, thanks for that. I feel better saying it out loud.
Good. Well, we will pick up here next time.
Okay, that's perfect. Thanks, Echo.
Yeah, thank you, Carol.
Great job, girl.
How did that feel, Carol?
I thought it was great. Echo, you did lovely. I loved at one point sorry, it's hard. I was trying to take notes and then also not take notes because I was a client. But I did. You just wrote at one point something to think about, right? Like you didn't press like necessarily for like this big, like life altering, like revelation to happen in session or whatnot. Like I appreciated that freedom to be like, you had just dropped like this whole new like way of thinking kind of. And then you were just like, something to think about. Like there was like, it was very much like this like no pressure statement that allowed me to kind of just like sit with it and be like, oh, okay. Like, okay. So I really liked the phrase of just like something to think about, right? And then I didn't write one other thing down because I was like, there's no way I'll forget this. It was so good. And then of course I forgot it. But overall, I think you just did great. I think you were like quick on the parasocial relationship. And I see like kind of exactly what you did, exactly like what you were saying, potentially I could have done last time. And I see how it's so effective of like, that was so great in that moment. And I wish I had like, I'm kicking myself, Dr. G to fill you, and this is something that a client's brought to me and I've like need help kind of like what do I do with this. So that's why I chose to talk about it. And I'm like already thinking of how much relief that would just bring to her to be like, oh yeah, parasocial relationship. Like, cool, I'm with you. Like, let's keep going. Like, it does just bring a ton of like the fact that there's a name for it and something like that. There is a relief of like, oh, I thought it was just me kind of thing. And it's like, no, it's a whole thing. Like people experience that. So I just am constantly impressed with you in multiple ways of like just your knowledge base. I think you just are so wise and like you just have like the words and the like educational background that I'm like jealous of, that I'm like, oh, you just pulled that. It felt like out of nowhere, but you're so quick. So I just respect that a lot about you. And I can't remember the other thing, but if I think of it, I will email you or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, in that same vein, yeah, the fact that you named it right off the bat, it felt like it just gave like a direction to the session, which could allow you to name all the emotions and all the things. So it didn't take away from that because we were having that discussion kind of earlier with the first one. Yeah. And then you offered her such a nice reframe with what can we control? And she was like, oh, I hadn't thought about it like that.
Yeah, I like that question.
I wrote down so many nice summaries and reflection. But the thing I started here was, what does he fulfill in you? That just like,
I was just writing that down. I remembered the word. That was it. It was so good.
It was so good. Cause then, yeah, I don't know. It just like gave her this like sense of safety to not have to like stop having those feelings and thoughts. And maybe it could just be a thing that she still feels and has and holds on to, but also recognizes why it is that she's doing it, which could either give her some safety in moving on or, you know, yeah, just having it as a thing, like knowing, okay, I have this thing because it makes me feel safe. And maybe keeps me from being in relationship with other people and being vulnerable with people that actually exist, or I don't know, whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And just, Lara, if I could piggyback off just that one thing, even the way you phrased it of what does he fulfill in you almost feels validating. Cause I think I would have said out of that, like, well, what do you get out of this relationship? Like, what does it do for you? The phrase of like, what does it fulfill in you just feels like, clearly it fulfills something that's obvious. Like, and it's like almost like approval of that. Like, yeah, of course that happens. Like, I just think there's something really like wholesome and like healing about the word fulfill. Like it is an allowance that it has fulfilled something. I don't know. It was just the way you said it. It was really, really beautiful.
Yeah, it's like it doesn't have any negative connotation at all, or like, I see what you're saying.
Intentional word.
Yes, intentional. Of course, you're like nonverbals and encouragers, or you're just like there. you know, with
Yeah.
head nods, sure, right, like all of the, yeah, you're very attentive and
Yeah.
yeah, you just, yeah, like zero judgment. It
Yeah.
feels like a totally non-judgmental space that feels super safe and warm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I actually agree. I didn't get to see all of your session, obviously, Echo. It looks like maybe you are in a work setting right now, but the lighting is fantastic. You have the
I have a window.
camera situation arranged in such a way that it looks like you're making eye contact, which is really cool.
Mm.
And so I kind of just felt like from the beginning of session, it just felt like a presence. Like it just felt transcended from that virtual space, which is something we all have to kind of really intentionally do, is demonstrate in nonverbal and encouragers that I'm here with you, even though we're not in the same space. And I just felt, I agree with what's been said. You do a really nice job of that. And it's also all these practical things that you've done where, you know, somehow you've got things set up so it looks like you're making eye contact, you can be seen really well. And that's really nice to demonstrate that, like, I'm here and I'm present with you. And I agree that you did create a lot of normalization, and unfortunately I didn't get to see everything, but I think you got some really good feedback.
Yeah.
How is it for you,
Thank you.
Echo?
I mean, so it's not the first time I've had a conversation about parasocial relationships in general in my life, right? So there was a level of like familiarity and comfort just in the topic, I guess, that was like, oh yeah, we can roll with this. This is fine. Let's do this.
Yeah.
And I was thinking about it because I was thinking about when Lara was giving me feedback, if we had, you know, a full session, depending on where it went, I probably would come back to, is it getting in the way of those real life relationships? Because if, you know, parasocial is fine. Like in many ways, it can be very therapeutic and catharsis, you know, brings great catharsis to have like that sense of connection to someone where you know it can't go wrong, right?
Mm-hmm.
But it can also then get in the way if you become too like attached to it, I think. And so I probably would have come back there at some point if we had more time, or if it was like a actual, you know, relationship situation where I was going to see somebody over time. I would probably still move back to like, let's talk about the impact it's having on real life relationships, you know, just to make sure it doesn't get in the way.
Yeah.
But yeah, I enjoyed it. Plus I love this little group of people. Yeah.
Thanks for rolling with my, you know.
Who was the person? I told you I was having like a
Oh
yeah, I did want to ask that too.
Oh, yeah.
What was that?
You never said who it was?
No, it's Michael Jackson. It's a client I have who, yeah, she really
said pedophile, and I was like, okay.
Yeah, no, and she's very, very sensitive. Yeah, she's very sensitive. And I was talking about it with a clinician at my work, like just processing. And I was like, I had never really explored parasocial relationships, things like that. So I was just like, hey, like, I assumed it was like normal and fine. But then afterwards I was like, did I just normalize something for a client that like, I was like, is normalization ever dangerous? I don't know. It like got me in this weird headspace where I was like, I don't know. What did I do? And so I went and talked to him. And the first thing out of this clinician's mouth was, you know, he's a pedophile, right? And I was like, okay, well, don't say that. That's what I was like. I mean, the client wasn't in the room or anything like that, but I was just like, yeah, this is why my client has a problem. Okay. People are being judgmental. Right. And she's very defensive. She's like, I don't believe he did it. But then people think I'm a pedophile, or people think I'm okay with pedophilia and I'm not. Like, so yeah, she's really struggling with it. But this was super helpful for me in more ways than one. So thank you, Eka, for being a example to me. Yeah, there's some things you did there that I was like, ooh, I wrote that down for myself. So I'm going to rinse and repeat that.